Hello, everyone. My name is Reza Madjidi. I'm the CEO of ConsuNova as well as a FAA DR. Today, I'd like to talk about our portfolio, what ConsuNova does, a little bit about recent avionics trends, and then what we bring together with our recent technology partner, SureSoft in Korea. So thank you for paying attention to this short video, and I hope you enjoy it. ConsuNova Landscape, we are a group of 20-25 engineers and FAA DRs and European CVEs that we work worldwide on certification aspects of both commercial and military avionics equipments that goes into various types of aircraft and rotorcraft and VTOLs and E-VTOLs. So with that, we also provide series of training around the topics of DO-178, DO-254, systems and safety, IMA platform, and so forth. With that also, we bring workshops, hands-on workshops, how to write requirements, how to do design better, and then provide gap analysis and process streamlining and improvements in your avionics projects. Our headquarters is in San Diego, California in US, and we have a UK office in London. Again, our clients are worldwide, majority are in US and Europe, and we've had very good track records also in Korea. These are the list of our major clients on the left side, some of the big names that you know of and some of the Korean names that we have had success in the past. And on the right side, we have a list of strategic partners that we work with in various locations in the world. And the recent addition has been SureSoft as our technology partner in Seoul, Korea. So recently, everybody is trying to get into the eVTOLs and the UAMs of the world, whether it's a fixed wing or it's a rotorcraft, and there are variations of them. It could be manned, it could be unmanned, and with that it comes a lot of different regulations and speculations, and maybe and both military and commercial and surveillance. There are basically the pioneer of this rules and regulations has been EASA. So EASA has published the ED 293, which is the CONOPS, the concept of operations for the VTOL aircraft. That concept gives you what you should do as the owner and operator of the VTOLs, standard operating procedures, what has to happen in the ground segment versus the trainings and the flight segments as the owners and operators of those VTOLs. The next one is the SC-VTOL. It's the means of compliance to achieve certification and airworthiness at the aircraft and equipment level. The SC-VTOL talks about the structures, the design environment, the flight load, the strength, and also the design and constructions of it, from the technologies you might be using, from flight-by-wire or validations of the flight control laws, algorithm logs. Also, in this SC-VTOLs, and there are 2 volumes of it, it also talks about the lift and thrusts, the systems and equipments, and which one of those, how they have to be certified. Now, almost both of these falls under the working group in EUROCAE. 105 talks about the UAS overall operations, and if you're getting into the eVTOLs of the world, not only from the engine perspective and a construct perspective, you also might have some kind of artificial intelligence that is run by the working group 114 in EUROCAE. We as ConsuNova, we are basically contributor to both of these working group, and we work with EASA on various projects around UAM and eVTOLs. If we want to summarize what the special conditions SC-VTOL talks about, the objective is really making a playing field that is adequate from a safety perspective for the passengers and the third parties that could be on the ground or other buildings. And then we're going to be using maybe some additional redundancies within the aircraft itself. This SC-VTOL tries to be incorporating elements of the Part 23 and Part 27 or equivalent of the European SC-27 and SC-23 small aircraft, and then small rotorcraft. So many of those regulations still applies to the UAMs and the UAVs. This regulation really applies to maximum weight of the 3,100 kilos and about maximum of 9 passengers, which is a special class aircraft, as called. In terms of regulations and the means of compliance, on the fixed wings, we rely on SC-23 or Part 23 Amendment 5, and we are also getting more supplements about how remote piloted aircraft should be satisfying certain objectives from an autonomous point of view, which again relates to the artificial intelligence portions of it. And we're also working with the EASA in that working group and EUROCAE to form those regulations. So we have a good, quite understanding of it. The SC-VTOL talks about the weights and limits, the link to the operations. So ConOps comes first, how the energy is controlled from a landing perspective to takeoff and the liftoff and the load, flight loads, and so forth. Also, this SC-VTOL breaks down the categories of the VTOLs or the UAMs into two. Category basic, which is failure condition that would prevent a controlled emergency landing of the aircraft are considered. So basically, we're talking about if this aircraft has to land in emergency situations, what kind of a failure condition could cause that and what are the side effects of it. The analogy is again to SC-23 and those regulations, like slightly higher than fly-by-wire technology. The second category is called enhanced category or category enhanced, which basically talks about failure condition that prevents the continuous flight and landing of the aircraft that could consider a catastrophic event, which is basically the DAL-A. So the focus of the enhanced category is continuous flight and landing. Therefore, the larger rotorcraft Part 27 regulations comes in play in terms of those type of eVTOLs. So again, when we look at these things, you have to look at the systems and architecture assessments, look at the ConOps of that eVTOLs, of that UAMs, number of passengers to come up with which categories you're going to fall under. Doesn't matter if it's commercial. Now, the same failure conditions in terms of the minor, major, hazardous, catastrophic still could apply, right? So on the enhanced category, you could be dealing with the FDAL-C, Functional Design Assurance Level C, 10 to the minus 9, or even higher, 10 to the minus 9. However, on the category basic, you probably fall under DAL-D and DAL-C and maybe a DAL-B. Most likely some elements of your the design assurance may fall still between 10 to the minus 8 to 10 to the minus 7, which is still as a DAL-B. So for those of you who understand ARP 4754A and you understand DO-178, DO-254, you are quite familiar with those numeric numbers, right? So what is so special about us and SureSoft within Korea? Well, as you just noticed, even if you're getting into this situation of the VTOLs and the UAMs, still those regulations at the ARP level or the CS level still applies, which we basically are the pioneer of teaching and practicing and putting the systems together, making this the ConOps for you, as well as the systems and safety aspects. When it comes to the development of the complex electronic hardware or advanced electronic hardware, as well as your software, we are actually can help you, and we have done on both certifications as aspects of your software and hardware. And then when it comes to the verification aspects of it, the SureSoft test platform and test engineers locally, they can actually help you with implementations and executions of those tests. If your systems are complex and you have to deal with airworthiness, DO-326 and 355 and 356, we can also teach you and implement those airworthiness security process within your applications. And if you go further on and you have a bigger systems, more complex in terms of the IMA, we have experts in ConsuNova from EU, from European, that can come and assist you with implementations of the IMA platform. When you have the integrator and the suppliers, what the relationship should be and how you have to organize the compliancy of different cabinets that goes into the IMA system. In terms of our experience, we have more than 7 DERs active, designated engineer representatives from FAA. I'm one of those. We are all approved up to DAL-A. We work on system safety, electricals, and so forth. And we're not just working here, we're also helping the community on the right side. We're actively working on previous developments of certain standards and future standards, as well as the UAS and the artificial intelligence. So we have our ears on the ground on the regulation side, and we're also helping the industries at the same time. We will be the independent experts for your audits and compliance. And I know from my past experience, personal past experience, since 2010, 2011 in Korea, various customers, most of your applications are one way or another government/military related. So we know how to perform those audits and what is our certification authority's view of the Koreans type of a compliance. So we're definitely can help you with the technical reviews and certification plan creations, risk mitigations, and negotiations with different certification authorities. If you're new to these standards or any of the standards related to avionics, not a problem. We can create custom developed training materials for you, deliver those working section on site as we have done many times, publicly or privately, to your customers, to yourself, to your engineers. And then we can get help from SureSoft from a localization point of view of these trainings and use SureSoft facility basically to perform these type of trainings if you wish. We have worked on many different type of aircrafts, from big aircraft 787 down to small aircrafts. Even we were a pioneer in data link on the COMAC aircraft, various type of military aircrafts, as well as the systems and subsystems from a HUD, from a flight management controls, from a mission computer systems, data link radio equipments that goes into these. And yes, we do have system specific engineers that have great knowledge of how to develop requirements and architecture for those systems. In terms of the UAMs, we, as I said before, we are the trusted certification representatives on behalf of MOD in UK to certify General Atomic UAV. So that is the biggest projects that we've had. We've been working on that for about 3 years and 2 more years to come. We're certifying all the software and all the hardware, and it's been publicly published, so we can easily talk about our reputation. We have other UAVs and E-VTOLs that we work with, Switzerland's and New Zealand's as the pioneers, some small companies in US as well, to form their certification artifacts and helping them for reaching compliance for their UAMs and the E-VTOLs. Various flight controls computer certifications, again from Boeing 787 to Boeing 715, different type of platforms on the flight computer systems. If those are the things that you're interested, we can also get help from us. Engineering services, various different type of high-level engineering services would be provided by us from a ConsuNova point of view. Design architectures for software and hardware, and of course any variations of avionics compliance, all of the V&V services, architectures and implementations from a tool chain, and also engineering support could come from us, very minimal, to be honest, but mostly from SureSoft, our partner. If you need to have reliability numbers and safety assessments of your aircrafts or at the system or subsystem levels, doesn't matter if you're commercial or military, we have expertise to perform any of the functional hazard analysis, FMEAs, fault tree analysis, built-in tests, reliability predictions, maintainability analysis for different even military standards or commercial standards. If you're new and you have an existing prototype, you want to take it to the avionics market, and this prototype or device or solution has worked in other safety domain, and you want to bring that to avionics, we can help you perform a gap analysis. What can you leverage, reuse without total revamp of your project? What can be shown compliance so that you can at least have a little bit of a reuse of your existing system going into avionics. While we work with you, we can expedite all of this with a much better, easier understanding language in terms of process templates plans for both 178, 254, and ARP, making sure that your standards are correct, and then provide you with a checklist so you know what questions you have to ask yourself and in front of myself as a DER or other DERs or your certification authorities to get the passing check of your design for compliance. In a snapshot, we can provide you in your V model, we can provide you from system aspects down to the logic and down to the verifications. Again, most of the verifications on the software side can be provided by SureSoft locally there, and all the guidance and setup and correctness of the requirements and how you can show compliance can be provided by ConsuNova. So why ConsuNova has advantage in Korea? We've had many projects since 2010. We provided those to many of the avionics clients that I've listed here, from Hanwha to Kari to AMC to Danam Systems and Dasan. We've done a lot of projects throughout the year, so we are not only familiar with the Korean culture, we are also familiar with the Korean business and how compliance can be achieved within Korea. Now that we are partnered with SureSoft, now you have localizations of the technology partner. They can provide us with the logisticals and coordinations with the customers, any translations that could be needed, and with the regular seminars and education programs and facilities that SureSoft has, we are more diverse and more ready to provide you with the type of workshops that you need. And all of the V&V teams and equipments and technology that SureSoft has can actually optimize your biggest concern and the biggest cost, which is the verifications and validations of your requirements. So I hope this presentation was useful to you. At least it's a reintroductions of ConsuNova to those who don't know us. We have a great name in Korea. We look forward to working with you, and be safe. And I hope to see you soon in 2022.